With this video clip, I'm wanting to help you to develop your leadership skills. And if this helps you, then you can forward this to your friends, or else you can send us a comment so that we continue to improve what we're doing. My title for today is Releasing But Properly. When you found good people, you've chosen them carefully, they're good with their characters, you've trained them well, you've spent time mentoring, but you've never actually appointed them, you're going to have problems. You're going to have frustrated leaders. You're going to lose leaders. They won't want to continue with you. They're going to continually ask, why haven't you released me into the task that I've been trained for? And you're going to have problems on your team. And today it's about training, but it's also about releasing for the new task. We see in Mark chapter 3, and Jesus went up on the mountainside and called to him those he wanted. And they came to him, and he appointed 12 that he also called apostles. What we see in this Bible verse is that Jesus had called a potential leadership group here. And he called them to him, and then he appointed 12. So he had that process that also came to that point where he released 12 and called them apostles. In Acts chapter 14, we read the following from verse 21. And they preached the gospel in that city and won a large number of disciples. And then they returned to Lystra and Iconium and Antioch. And Paul and Barnabas appointed elders for them in each church with prayer and fasting. And he committed them to the Lord, in whom they had put their trust. And then in Titus 1 verse 5, it says, I left you on the island of Crete to finish your work there and to appoint elders in the towns as I instructed you. And what we see, that there was always an appointment taking place. That was clear. They found the people, they trained them, they raised them up, and then they appointed them. And that is the point that we have to all come to. And we need to ask ourselves, if we're not doing this, why aren't we? Because the Bible also tells us in Proverbs 13:12, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. And what that means for us is that when we make people wait, when that hope is deferred, they give up their hope. And then they say, it'll never happen. I'll find another leader who I want to follow. And I ask myself, why don't we do this? Why don't we raise up people? Is it that you don't want to take a risk? Do you think that maybe they'll be better than you? That's what we spoke about right in the beginning of our series. And so I want to remind us about some things. Never risk with character weakness, but be prepared to take those that are inexperienced and take a risk with them. When they are inexperienced, you can still work with them. Don't set the bar so high. That means don't make it more and more difficult for people to be part of your team. Release them, even if they aren't as strong as you. You started somewhere. And back then, you aren't who you are today. So find a good level and release. Everyone has different capacities. Some have 1 talent, 2 talents, or 3 talents. Maybe they are leaders of tens, 20s, hundreds, thousands. They need a task that is related to their capacity that they can blossom. Gift-orientated. A clear task. Jesus said very clearly, he said, I am setting you in as apostles. He gave them the name apostles, and they could be with him, and they found out in being with him what that meant. So when you release, it's not just about the responsibility, but also the authority that you are releasing them with so that they can fulfill their calling. I'm amazed at so often in the groups or the teams that I've worked with, they give people the responsibility, but they're not allowed to make the final decision. Where are they allowed to make a decision, yes or no? Does it happen or isn't it going to happen? But they've got to go back to every decision, and they've got to go back to their leader and ask, may I do this or may I not? So don't just give authority, or don't just give responsibility, but also the authority. And then, if you feel any warning or if you have any warning lights, then don't do it. We as Christians would say, it's that little voice of the Holy Spirit. Maybe you call it something else, but when you have that feeling, don't do it. If you have a check. So some questions. Are there leaders where you or your team held them back from an assignment or from a task? Look back over the last few years. Analyze the last releases where you've set people in. Analyze them. Did they fit? Did you give them direction? Was there clarity with authority? And if you do this better, you will become a more effective leader.